I found out my parents had emptied my bank account while I was standing in the parking lot outside my office. At first, I thought it had to be some kind of mistake. I had just finished a 12-hour shift and was sitting in my car, checking my phone before driving home. My checking account was linked to my savings account, and I liked keeping an eye on both. I wasn't rich, far from it, but I had spent years building that savings account. $85,000, every birthday check, every overtime shift, every skipped vacation, every sacrifice. Gone. I stared at the screen, then refreshed it again. My savings balance still showed zero. I felt my stomach drop so hard it was like missing a step on a staircase. I immediately called the bank. The representative confirmed the transactions. 3 separate transfers, authorized, completed, permanent. The recipient names made my blood run cold. My mother, my father, and my sister. I remember gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. "What do you mean authorized?" I asked. The woman hesitated. "The account was listed as a joint custodial account when it was created." I stopped breathing. "What?" She repeated it. My parents still technically had access they had never used. Access I forgot existed, access that had just cost me $85,000, and the reason was even worse, because they used my money to save my sister. I didn't know that yet. But I was about to, and that discovery would destroy whatever was left of my family. I drove straight to my parents' house. The entire drive felt unreal. Like I was trapped inside someone else's nightmare. Every possibility ran through my head. Maybe they'd been hacked, maybe there was fraud, maybe there was some explanation. But deep down I already knew, because this wasn't the first time my sister had been rescued, it was just the most expensive. When I walked through the front door, my mother froze. That told me everything. She wasn't surprised to see me, she was surprised I found out so quickly. My father stood up from the kitchen table. Neither of them looked confused. Neither asked why I was there. My heart sank. "You took it." My mother looked away, my father sighed, and just like that I knew the money was gone. "How could you do this?" My mother folded her arms. "We had no choice." No choice, those 3 words nearly broke me. No choice, I laughed. It sounded insane even to my own ears. "You stole $85,000 from me." My father rubbed his forehead. "Watch your tone." Watch my tone, not sorry, not ashamed, not embarrassed, just irritated, as if I was the problem. Then my sister walked into the room, and everything finally made sense. Ashley, the golden child, the center of the universe, the reason every family gathering somehow revolved around her. The reason every mistake got forgiven, the reason my parents constantly bent reality to protect her, and judging by her expression, she already knew. That realization hurt more than the money. Because it meant all 3 of them had planned this. Together, I looked directly at her. "Where's my money?" Ashley crossed her arms. "It wasn't your money." I stared at her. She actually said it. "It wasn't your money," she repeated. "Our parents helped you save it." I felt something inside me snap. "No, I earned it." Ashley rolled her eyes. Whatever. $85,000, years of my life, whatever. Then my mother finally explained. Ashley was bankrupt, not struggling, not behind on bills, bankrupt, and the reason made me sick. Luxury spending, designer clothes, expensive vacations, leased luxury SUV, credit cards, personal loans. She had buried herself under nearly 6 figures of debt. And instead of letting her face consequences, my parents took my savings just like that. I stood there speechless. My father finally said it. "You have a stable job." My mother nodded. "You can earn it back." I looked at them, and for the first time in my life, I truly understood who they were. Not loving parents, not fair people, just enablers. People willing to sacrifice one child for another, and they didn't even feel guilty. But what happened next changed everything, because my grandfather entered the story, and nobody saw that coming. My grandfather Walter was 81 years old, former military, former business owner, the kind of man who rarely spoke, but when he did, everyone listened, including my father. Especially my father. Growing up, Grandpa was the only person who treated me and Ashley equally. Actually, that's not true. He treated us based on our actions. Which meant Ashley rarely got special treatment around him. She hated that. My parents hated it too. They often accused him of being old-fashioned. Translation, he believed people should face consequences. The next morning I drove to his house. I brought printed bank statements. Transaction records, account history, everything. I expected sympathy, maybe advice, maybe comfort. Instead, I watched him read every page silently. His coffee sat untouched. His jaw tightened. Then he set the papers down and made one phone call, just one. I couldn't hear the entire conversation, only pieces. "Yes," pause, "I've seen enough," pause, "activate it," long pause, then "no." Effective immediately, he hung up. That was it. No explanation, no dramatic speech, nothing. I looked at him. Grandpa, he leaned back. They made a very expensive mistake. That was all he said. I had no idea what he meant, but the next morning, I woke up to 58 missed calls. 58, my phone was exploding, texts, voicemails, emails, everything. Every single message came from family. My parents, Ashley, aunts, uncles, even cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. My hands started shaking. The first voicemail was from my mother. She was crying. Actually crying, please call us. The second was from my father. His voice sounded terrified. Son, we need to talk. The third was Ashley. For the first time in her life, she sounded scared. Not angry, not arrogant, scared. I immediately called Grandpa. He answered on the first ring. I assume your phone is busy. What happened? Silence. Then he laughed, a slow, cold laugh. I changed my will. Everything stopped. What? I changed my will. I couldn't speak. Grandpa continued. For 20 years, your parents expected a very large inheritance. My heart started racing. A very large inheritance. Suddenly everything made sense. The phone call, the panic, the fear. But Grandpa wasn't finished. I informed my attorneys that any beneficiary involved in financial abuse against family members would be removed. I sat down, hard. Removed completely. My mouth went dry. Then he delivered the real bombshell. My estate is worth a little over $12 million. I nearly dropped the phone. $12 million. My parents had stolen $85,000 and lost access to millions. The math was brutal. Then Grandpa added one final detail. They thought they won. I couldn't stop staring at the wall because he was right. They did think they won until now. The fallout was immediate. Within hours, the entire family knew. And suddenly everyone had opinions. The same relatives who ignored favoritism for years were now calling nonstop because money changes everything. Secrets, loyalty, family dynamics, all of it. My parents showed up at my apartment that afternoon. My father looked exhausted. My mother's eyes were swollen from crying. Neither looked confident anymore. The power dynamic had completely shifted. My father spoke first. We made a mistake. I almost laughed. A mistake, like they accidentally clicked the wrong button, like $85,000 vanished by accident. My mother reached for my hand. I pulled away and her face crumpled. That was new. For years she expected instant forgiveness. Now she wasn't getting it. Then Ashley arrived. And somehow made everything worse. She immediately started crying, real tears, but not because she felt guilty, because she was scared. Tell Grandpa to change it back. I stared at her. She actually believed I controlled him. Please. The word sounded foreign coming from her. I folded my arms. No. Silence. Ashley blinked. No, no, for the first time in her life. Nobody rescued her. Nobody fixed it. Nobody sacrificed themselves for her comfort, and she couldn't handle it. She started screaming, accusing me of destroying the family. Accusing me of being selfish, accusing me of ruining everyone's future. Then she accidentally revealed something none of them realized I didn't know. She shouted, "You already got the business anyway." The room froze, every face changed, every expression shifted. I looked at Grandpa, then at my parents. Nobody spoke, my heart pounded. What business? My father closed his eyes, and suddenly I understood. There was another secret, a much bigger one they had hidden for years. Grandpa owned part of a commercial real estate company, a profitable one, and years ago, he had quietly transferred ownership shares, not to my parents, not to Ashley, to me. I didn't know because the trust was structured to activate later, but Ashley somehow knew, my parents knew, everyone knew except me, and suddenly their behavior made perfect sense. They believed I was already getting something valuable, so stealing my savings felt justified, in their minds, not because they needed the money, because they thought I had enough. The entitlement made me sick, and the consequences were only beginning. Within weeks everything unraveled. Grandpa officially updated every legal document, every trust, every inheritance structure. Every beneficiary designation, lawyers handled everything. Ironclad, permanent. My parents hired attorneys, failed, they argued, failed, they begged, failed, nothing worked. Then came the financial reality. Without Grandpa's future support, their retirement plans collapsed. Ashley's safety net disappeared, the luxury lifestyle vanished. The expensive SUV got repossessed, the condo was sold, creditors came calling, and for the first time, nobody stepped in, not me, not Grandpa, nobody. Meanwhile, Grandpa did something unexpected. He paid me a visit. We sat on his porch one evening watching the sunset. Neither of us spoke for a while. Finally, he handed me an envelope. Inside was a cashier's check, $85,000. Exactly, I stared at it. Grandpa, he shook his head. No, my eyes filled with tears. I can't take this. You can, I looked down. The amount was identical, every dollar restored. Then he smiled. They took your savings. His voice softened. So I replaced your savings. I couldn't speak because nobody had ever protected me like that before. Nobody. And that realization hurt almost as much as it healed. Months passed, then a year, then two. Life became peaceful, really peaceful. The kind of peace you don't appreciate until you've lived without it. I bought a house, built my career, made new friends, created boundaries, strong ones. My relationship with my parents never fully recovered. Maybe it never could. Some betrayals change things forever, but I stopped carrying the anger because anger is heavy. And eventually I got tired of carrying it. Ashley occasionally sent messages, mostly apologies, some sincere, some clearly motivated by regret. I wished her well, but from a distance. The trust was gone, and trust isn't something you can rebuild with words. One afternoon, years later, Grandpa and I sat together again. He was older, slower, but still sharp, still stubborn. Still Grandpa, he looked at me and smiled. You know why I made that phone call? I laughed. Because you were angry? He shook his head. No, I waited. Then he said something I'll never forget. I made that call because I wanted you to know your value. I stared at him. He continued. They spent years teaching you that your needs came second. My throat tightened. They taught you sacrifice. He paused, but they forgot to teach you self-respect. I felt tears forming. Nobody who loves you should treat you as disposable. The words hit harder than anything else because he was right. The money was never the real wound. The real wound was discovering exactly what I meant to the people I trusted most, and the real healing came from discovering what I meant to myself. When Grandpa passed away 3 years later, I cried harder than I ever had in my life, not because of money, not because of inheritance, because I lost the one person who saw me clearly. The one person who stood up when nobody else would. The one person who proved that family isn't about who shares your blood, it's about who stands beside you when everyone else walks away. Sometimes people ask if I regret telling him. I don't, not for a second, because that single conversation changed everything. It exposed lies, destroyed favoritism, protected my future. And taught me a lesson worth far more than $85,000. The people who truly love you never ask you to set yourself on fire so someone else can stay warm. And the moment you learn that, your life changes forever.